Who invented these?
A bad man. A guy who doesn't like me. I have to box up some lights and they're shipping all the way to Malaysia. So we've got really heavy Porsche Cayenne headlights. I gotta stick those things in the box. We're gonna talk to you about 8 mistakes a lot of people make when boxing up headlights and taillights. It's coming up. Number 8 is a very simple one. This is just paying somebody else to do this for you, taking it down to your local UPS store or FedEx or something like that. It's basically that they're gonna make money off of you like crazy. All the padding, all the boxes, the tape. Like, you can't ask them for a piece of tape. They will sell it to you because they're there to make money boxing things up for people. Like, that's the whole point, right? So this video is so that you can do it yourself. It's gonna save you hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Mistake number 7 is gonna be using too small of a box. Mistake number 8 is paying somebody to use a massive box. This is gonna be the complete opposite. This is what most people do themselves. Mistake 7 is getting a tiny little box and then just cramming a big giant light inside of it. So let's take a look at these Porsche lights and how they would fit if we used too small of a box. Okay, so this Porsche light is way too big. I could stick another big giant heavy light on top of it and hope that I wrapped them up just right. This is gonna guarantee that these lights are gonna show up damaged. So what I wanna do is I wanna individually wrap these things really, really well, and then I wanna have a box that's big enough to fit 2 individually foam wrapped lights with a whole bunch of packing peanuts and other things that will reinforce the box. If the box is too small to stick 2 lights inside that one box, it might make more sense to use 2 different boxes. So when I ship these super expensive GTR headlights, I don't want them to be sandwiched together and potentially move around and one part of the light hits the other part of the light and scratches it or snaps off or whatever. So what I use is the factory light. Comes in this box. It's got all of these little inserts made for that exact type of light. So once I'm finished putting the light in there and everything's packed and it's sitting how it should be, we've got this nice little padding that goes on top, and then we've got cardboard, and everything goes together really nice. I still add padding to that, and even then, I'll take the second light, I'll do the same thing, and then I will tape these 2 boxes together. And there's one major reason for that, because I know if I ship these things individually, the box is too small, the carrier is just gonna be busy like always and toss these things around. The chances that you're gonna see a guy pick up a box this big and just chuck it, probably not nearly the same as a smaller box. And by the way, if we haven't met before, my name is Chris. This is my company, FlyRyde.com, where I teach you all about boxing up lights and how to build them, and what parts to use, what parts to avoid, all that stuff. If you want to catch more of these videos, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to the channel. You could start now. Don't forget to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any of the future uploads, and go register on FlyRyde.com. A lot of awesome stuff's coming for 2020. Can't wait to see you there. So it's in your best interest, if you're gonna ship lights and you wanna save some money, you're gonna wanna put them as safe as you possibly can. Even if it's gonna be 2 boxes, put them as safe as they can be here, and then package those 2 things together. And as long as the box isn't too big, you should be able to ship it with USPS, which is my preferred carrier of choice on expensive lights, because I send it 1-day express. And that means they're not gonna have this box for too long. You're gonna have less chance to damage it, and it's got a bunch of insurance and all that stuff. So using 2 boxes is sometimes better than using 1 giant box. Yeah, let's talk about mistake number 6. Mistake number 6 is gonna be not covering up sharp corners like the bolts coming off the back of these taillights or that super sharp edge. I can't tell you how many times I've seen boxes show up and they just have holes out the side of the box with something like this showing, and it doesn't usually look like that anymore. It usually looks pretty banged up from scraping on the ground as the box was moved around the back of a truck or through the airport or whatever. These sharp edges, though they might not look like they're gonna pop right through the side of the box, if they're able to move around much and you haven't specifically covered up, like I'm gonna show you how to do, this edge right here, it's gonna find its way to puncture that box because it's only cardboard, and this thing moving around a whole bunch is gonna shove right through that cardboard. These little guys are your friend. Little razor blades, anything that you can use to make custom little pieces of cardboard are gonna go a really long way. So what I like to do if I'm gonna make a set of headlights completely covered up and good to go for packing up, we wanna protect edges of the light but we want to do it in like a special custom way. So if I take something like this and I bend it and I make some sort of a little angle like that, now I can put it on the light in a way where it's not going to be able to poke through nearly as easily, but I can even go further than that. If I really want to make sure that this thing is going to be secured to the light and it's not going to let this thing shove through the side of the box, I can even add extra padding like this. So this is just a little padded envelope. I happen to have a bunch of these things, and you could just literally just stick it inside that little corner piece that you've made, and now it's going to be sitting through 2 different layers before the side of the box. And now you actually even have something else that you can put padding in between this and the actual sidewall of the box. It's just multiple barriers that you're putting in specifically so that that little edge never finds its way directly against a piece of cardboard like that. I know that the companies that ship headlights know about this stuff because this is the padding material for the Nissan GTR depot lights. This is just what goes between the edge of the actual light and the box that's inside of another big box. Like, they know that this stuff happens all the time, and the idea is just that it's not gonna let this thing puncture through. So if you have a way of layering up the packaging that you're just putting at the edges of the corners and all that stuff, it's gonna go a long way. So luckily on these Porsche lights, I don't have to do that. The Genesis Coupe light is super pointy, so it's kind of an extreme example of that. The same thing goes for lights like this. I remember doing a lot of Corvette headlights, and they have big bolts that stick off the bottom. Those can actually be removed. On these GTR lights, it's just important that you note when you're wrapping these things up, if you're putting something like bubble wrap, it'll puncture that bubble wrap in a second. So if you put this and then another one like right beneath it, and those little bolts are aiming at that lens, when this thing shows up where it's supposed to be, it will have wiggled around so much that it's just gonna look like all kinds of scratch marks all over the lens. So you just gotta be really aware as you're packing this stuff up. It's not, I mean, it's all pretty common sense. It's not difficult to figure this stuff out, but if you're rushing through it, or if you give it to somebody who's not gonna be thoughtful about how they're doing it, those are the kinds of issues that you're gonna run into. Mistake number 5, doing a terrible wrap job. Wrapping terribly. Being a bad wrapper, I don't know. Anyway, here's a light. It looks as though it is wrapped and ready to go into a box. Many times, somebody checked the box of wrapping up the light before they put it in a box, and they did something like this inside a box, like this, and that's how they sent me the thing. So if it can wiggle, it does. If it can shake around, it will. And if something can break because of the fact that it's not secure inside that box, for sure it's gonna show up messed up, just like these Porsche lights did when they came all the way from halfway around the world from Malaysia. They shipped to me 2 headlights, 1 box, and they were wrapped about like this. This is why I say it's a bad wrap. If you look at this thing right off the bat, you're like, oh, it's probably padded enough. Here's the problem. I lift that up, I'm looking at the edge, which means that multiple times this is gonna come into contact with the cardboard. Without any other padding inside of there, it's almost like you threw the light right in the box without any padding, which is actually how the taillight showed up from Malaysia. I have no idea how they weren't destroyed, but we got lucky. We're not gonna take that chance on shipping them back. So wrapping multiple times around a light is not gonna be enough to be protected while it goes. Even though I have this big piece of wrapping, even though I feel good about that, there's a couple things that I like to do, such as putting something really soft over the lens. And then after that, I'm gonna use thick padding, like bigger bubbles, and I'm gonna go around it multiple times so that my compressor can kick on and make this video even longer. So if we're gonna wrap up little teeny tiny parts, we can wrap this stuff around there, and all it's gonna do is it's gonna keep those lightweight little parts from wiggling around inside of a box. That's what this stuff is really good for. But if you're gonna wrap up a light that weighs like 10 pounds on its own, and it's gonna be shaking around a whole bunch, what we really wanna do is like the moms that are super paranoid about their kid getting hurt, so they like bubble wrap them so the kid's just walking around outside with like, I don't even know if that's a thing, but I think that way. That's how we want these lights to be, just completely bubble wrapped, to where you could accidentally drop them and it not actually come into contact with the ground because it's just got so much bubble wrap around it. We want that, and even though it's wrapped up that much, we want 2 lights packed up like that, and then we're gonna stick them inside of a much bigger box. So they're gonna sit in there so that they're sitting with the heavy side down, and then all this stuff's gonna come out. But before any padding goes in, we really need to wrap the lights up super well. So we're gonna do that right now, and I hope that as you watch, you are inspired and intrigued by how exciting this next little segment's gonna be in B-roll style. Let's go. So we talked about wrapping, we're gonna talk about padding now. So we've got the thing that's wrapped around the light, so that one light is padded on every part of the light. There's a couple spots where I can see where like there's a little hard edge that kind of pokes out. Now I could like double, triple wrap the thing so that that one little edge doesn't poke at all, but that's not the point. What I wanna do now is pad it. So I've got the wrapping, now we're gonna do padding. We've got a couple different options. You've seen packing peanuts all the time. I have a video in the past where I talk about putting packing peanuts. I only do that for people I don't like because they suck. They get everywhere. I really am not a big fan of packing peanuts. They generally will move out of place as the box is shaken around, kind of like everything settles down. So if it's that box getting shaken, those little packing peanuts work their way down, and now you've got like a cavity of air that makes the box weaker, because now if something pushes on the edge of it, nothing's behind that edge and it can crumple in. So packing peanuts kind of suck for that. Other packing material can be a lot better. The little bags of air, those are pretty dope, but again, that's more for smaller boxes. You can use stuff like this. I got a bunch of old magazine stuff. That's gonna be heavy. It's not gonna be very efficient either. It really depends on what you're packing. So in this case, I've got these lights. I've got this really thick piece of foam right here. And I know that the weight is gonna be either pushing on the bottom of the box or the top of the box. I'm not worried about the lights jarring this way or jarring that way. It's kind of a science project here as we're making sure that we have the lights wrapped right and then the box padded right, and then we're gonna talk next about another mistake that's coming up. Okay, so I'm testing this other light and I'm just making sure that I've got enough room so I can wrap this thing up nice and tight. And then even though it's gonna be snug, we're gonna have both of these lights in there, and we're gonna make sure that this isn't sticking up higher than it needs to be, and that we have more padding on top of this, like another layer of cardboard, and all the walls, everything completely filled up with padding.
No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle. No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle. No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle. Can somebody save me, I'm losing every battle.
So here's why you don't want to use too small of a box. I'm checking different types of foam. So I've got that super thick stuff. I've got this, which is expandable foam bags that I can push down and I can kind of manipulate the shape. I tried to cut out some little sections of this super thick foam. It's kind of hard to do this right now. So we're right at the end. You don't want to rush this step. It's so hard because you might be facing the deadline of pickup times for the end of the day. This might be 2 hours in and you're only at this step and you're like, they don't quite fit. You just gotta keep a clear head and think through it and figure out how the best way to keep these lights safe in this box. Otherwise, gotta get a bigger box. So yeah, put packing peanuts in here. Oh, I already put too much in there. Damn it! I kind of just need
one layer.
a single peanut thickness. One peanut's thickness. Ugh. Ugh. Oh yeah, did you hear it? It just went right through the box. That's awesome. Good. That's what I want.
I can do this.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, we're good. So, wow. Whew. Okay, that sucked a lot. So, mistake number 3, not putting enough padding material. Wrap, we put padding, and I'm gonna put more padding. A lot more padding, all the padding. So the things that I want to focus on right now are going to be finding big open spaces. So like this big giant open space right here. We know that the lights are going to want to move around and wiggle. So packing peanuts aren't going to do it. We don't want to rely on that too heavily. So I want to take up as many big chunks of space as I can with big pieces of foam. Packing peanut time. I got my wrap. I got my foam padding. We're gonna go with the third ingredient now, which is gonna be the packing peanuts in all the nooks and crannies and crevices, knowing that I'm not relying on them to do the job. We're just gonna supplement what's already in there. So let's try to get those to settle down.
This is because I hate to see.
No! It's not that, Peter. Just want your lights safe.
And that's what you mean by slowing down.
Yeah, I mean, if I just shake it, it'll do that, but it'll take all freaking day. The fact that there's even the ability to do this, it's not like I don't want to shove them too down because they're just going to break and get even more or less effective, but.
And then it doesn't close. No.
Right?
Oh,
That could totally be the case. Little topping. Top it off.
Who invented these?
A bad man. A guy who doesn't like me. So I think it's probably good to use a little bit too many peanuts and then just to work them in there. I want this top part to be nice and tight. A lot of times when you get a box that's been packed up, the top is just not good at all. So we want the edges to be brought in all the way on the sides and top to bottom. And then we're gonna be good to go. I'm gonna throw some tape across our first section so I can pull it together. Get it like that. That's gonna hold the tape. We want these touching because it's gonna hold the shape of the box so it doesn't fan out at the top or mushroom or whatever. Also, brand new boxes are good. But the boxes don't like this much stress. They don't like to be packed with lights this much. But now as I pull it together this way, the sides don't pop out. Piece of tape right here. Squeeze it together, and I want to run out of tape right as I'm about to do the most important one. That's what I want. It's really what you want to happen as you're making a YouTube video showing how unprepared you are in all things. Want to know something weird? Tape is really expensive. I used to buy 3 packs of not this extra wide awesome stuff, but of like the regular, what you'll probably have access to, stuff from Home Depot. It's like 12 bucks for a 3-pack. Link in the description below. Yeah, boy. All right. So we want these sides to come together nice and tight. You want them tight. Oh, tight like a tiger. That's not tight. You need to have your homie help you. That's the way to do it.
Have your cameraman.
Yeah.
Because everyone has one.
Yeah. So make sure, step 3, have your cameraman. Oh, damn it. I lost my tape.
What's the easiest way to find the tape again?
To find the tape again?
Yeah.
Man, don't lose it. It's not easy no matter what. Oop.
You run your finger across it, nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Especially if you have good clear tape. So I'm taping this thing up so that it can go to Malaysia and not have any issues. I always like to tape the sides. Wow. I am absolutely serious though about having a new box. New boxes are smart. Like this one, I'm not even gonna trust in any of that old tape. I'm gonna cut it off and then. For the guy in the comments that's like, man, I work for UPS. That guy, he can't even pack a box. I guess I'm just gonna have to cross off future of working for UPS on the list. I won't be able to live up to your standards, pal. Probably leave that out because it sounds like a dick. Oh, it's so heavy. Okay, we're gonna get the weights and dimensions. Now, you can see on this box it says 18 by 18 by 24. Not all boxes have that, so a lot of times if you want to get an estimate for how to ship this thing, you got to just measure from here to here to here. Funny story, we actually have to get the girth of this box. So if you want to know what the girth of the box is, it's going to be width plus height, plus width plus height, right? Plus length. So what we get is the two smaller numbers, you add those up, multiply it by 2, and then you add the longest number. That's going to give you your cubic inches. All right, so if you want to know if this thing is going to fit with something like USPS, the maximum size that this can be to ship with express mail or priority or anything like that in the US is 108 cubic inches. So when I walk in with a set of GTR lights and it's 2 boxes stacked on top of each other like that, they always look at me with an eyebrow raised because they're like, man, that looks like that box is too big. But I'm like, it's 106 cubic inches, we're good. Because I know the max is 108 and they do 2. And so what you do is, in this case, you got your 18 plus your 18 plus 18 plus 18. That's 72 plus your length. So your length in this case is going to be 24. So we have 72 plus 24, we're good. We're actually under 100 cubic inches. So this thing can be shipped anywhere with USPS as opposed to FedEx, DHL, but we're shipping to Malaysia, so we're not going to use that. I usually use USPS if I can to ship to like the UK or anything like that because it's so much cheaper than the alternatives. DHL a lot of times is what I have to use if I'm shipping to like Dubai or something like that, because every single country has their different regulations and their way of dealing with customs and dealing with all these different facets of shipping. So if you really want to know, you should ask the person that you're shipping to what their preferred method of carrier is, because a lot of times they'll tell you don't use that one because they've had bad experience with that, or they know that like those ones always get messed with or whatever. So if you're a builder, ask your customer if they're in a different country, like who's a good carrier to ship, who do you prefer that I ship with, and then let them pay that charge based on that carrier, because it might be double the cost. You know, for me a lot of times they'll be like, I like that it's cheaper with USPS, but I won't get the box, so I have to pay the more expensive shipping. And if you can tell, I am out of breath, and that brings me to mistake number 2, and that is not charging for everything I just did. That's stupid. That's called handling. I gotta handle this box. This box just handled me. It just kicked my ass. Like, I'm out of breath. I'm not feeling good about the time I just spent building this custom one-off box, but I had to do it. And I don't think that that time should go unpaid for. So if you are billing people to ship lights, it's a hard gig anyway because it's expensive to ship, but don't count yourself out. Like, pass off a little handling charge. Like, buy yourself some lunch. Like, I'm sweating, I smell. I should get lunch out of this, right? I think so. Handling. All right, let's go weigh this beast.
Scale
Says 23 1/4 pounds. I think what we ran the shipping label for was 25 pounds. So it's better to overestimate, because if you underestimate your weights and dimensions and then you go somewhere like USPS and you stick it on the counter and you're like, it's prepaid, it's good to go. Sometimes be like, wait, let me just weigh this thing. And they'll like double check you on the spot. I like to just put it on the shelf and peace out, because generally I never have any issues with that. But multiple times I've had people be like, 1/4 pound heavier than you said it was. And then that means you have to void out your label and do all this stuff, and it holds on to the money while they refund you. It's like this bad deal. It's better to overestimate, even if it costs you a couple bucks. If you want to scale, a digital scale, I've had this thing for years and years. There are awesome ones that are on Amazon. So I'm gonna look through, I'm gonna pick my favorite one and link it down below in the description so that you always have accurate weights. And remember to overestimate just a little bit. All right, this is shipping to Malaysia. So I have customs forms, I have all the stuff for my prepaid label, and it's gonna go right on the box. You can pick up these little packs if you have to ship with customs and all that. These are available for free from post office, FedEx, UPS, whatever, and then you can just print your stuff out. We use Shopify, and this actually printed straight from our Shopify store. So that was good. That's all set. And then bonus, we got a little bonus. If you've got writing on the box because you're like green friendly, like our green room here, we're green branded at FlyRyde. We love green. Yeah, so I'm just gonna reuse this box. I'm gonna take this box colored tape, and if there's anything that I really don't wanna see, blam! It's like magic. I could just cover it up. I don't know. I don't really care about all these things, but I wanted to tell you, because maybe if it's got like an old address or something like that, and you don't want to like scribble it out and waste the whole marker, this stuff's pretty handy. Uline's got it. I'll find a link for an Amazon one, and that'll be in the description too. We've got the box ready. That sucked. It's hardcore. But what I want to say now is the number one thing that is a mistake a lot of builders make and a lot of customers don't understand, and that is not charging the shipping cost. Like, why would that, everything you just watched, I don't even know why you watched all of it. If you did, comment below, you watched the whole thing up to number one. Let me know though, why would that be free? What, like, I had to pay 300 bucks for that box to ship to Malaysia. But what if it was shipping one city over? Or what if it was shipping to a different side of my country? It's not, it's shipping like super far away. So including that cost, like how am I gonna know if I get a guy in Germany that asks me about doing his Porsche, or I get a guy in Canada that wants me to do his Porsche, or Brazil? There's no way for me to know what it's gonna cost for packing a box and shipping it to him unless I know the weight of the box, the size of the box, the headlight weight, and all these variables, and then their exact address. You have to charge individually for shipping, and you can't know up front. Sometimes people don't want to have a second bill for shipping. It doesn't really matter, because until I finish that set of lights, let's say I'm adding extra components. I got ballasts, I got remote controls, I got a wire harness. I have all these things that are packed in that box with a set of lights. That's going to change the weight. And like I said, you want to overestimate that weight size just a hair so that you're not ever going to be caught like where they're going to send you a supplemental bill or something later. So all of these things lead me to number one, which is not charging for shipping is crazy. That's fine if you've got some kind of a flat rate. Even then, I have a hard time with that. If you know that it costs more expensive to ship here than there and you ship to both places, you should bill 75 to this guy and 35 to that guy. It's my personal opinion. I think that as a builder, it makes so much more sense to not deal with shipping at all. And let this video be an example to you about that. It's hard, it's not fun. And what if something happens to those lights that are perfect right now on their way home to Malaysia? What if that happens? Do we do it all over again? Like, do we insure those things for thousands of dollars, and then the customs guys want thousands of dollars in taxes and duties for my guy just so that his lights were protected on the way there? It's not a fun game, but not charging for that time is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And the handling, and there's all these things, like it's time. It's all time, it's all effort, and it takes experience and skill and failure and all this stuff to get to the point where you don't feel bad saying, brother, your shipping charge was 600 bucks. Like to ship a couple boxes. Let me know if you used this video for yourself. If you're a shop and your customer sent this to you, let me know why you're watching this video and why you watched all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys on more informative videos with boring stuff all about lighting coming soon on FlyRyde.
No one ever sees me.